Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to the IAB South Africa Digital Content Marketing Workshop. I see a few people having in the waiting room, I think with Joburg load shedding and a few other things in the mix. Just want to make sure everyone's got a chance. Just a note that we are recording the workshop for two purposes. One, for those who can't make it and would like to view it, we'd like to make that available to them. And also for the Content Marketing Committee, just to have access to the feedback in terms of the process that Emma will recap for us later on in the agenda. So I think it is 12:03. I think we can get started. The first bit is really just from the IAB as an intro, sharing the agenda. So anyone who's late won't miss anything too important. So Emma, if you could just pop us through to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you. For some reason, it's not going. Right, so welcome to the Digital Content Marketing Definitions Review. This is the first part in a project series. Thanks to everyone who's online today. I know it's a busy schedule with the beginning of the month. I'm just coming out of month end, so we're very grateful for your time. It is an industry workshop, so your feedback is important. And again, thank you to everyone who shared their feedback in our process to date. And as mentioned earlier, Emma will take us through that feedback as part of our process. Just in terms of some webinar etiquette, just a note that we are recording this, and for those who've just joined, a note that we record for those who can't make it, so we'll share the link afterwards, as well as for the Digital Content Committee to access in terms of the various sets of feedback. For now, it would be great if while myself and Emma then take you through the process ahead, if you could keep your microphones and videos off. Of course, we'd love to hear from you, but let's save that for the Q&A. So if you can share any questions along the way in the chat, we'll just keep an eye on that and make sure that those are answered in the Q&A section at the end of the agenda. Of course, if you've got a burning question that's absolutely related to what's happening in the moment, then please just raise your hand. And I don't know, for most of you, I'm a Zoom girl, but for those of you who work on the other platforms, if you look, what should be at the bottom of your screen, there is a little emoji, which is called reactions. If you open that up, then you'll see the raise hand button, and a little hand will just come up, which I will look out for and make sure, hopefully we don't miss it. Worst case scenario, you can take yourself off mute and just share your urgent question. But otherwise, if you can load them into the chat, we'll look out for those and include them in the Q&A with the committee representatives a little bit later. Just a few more people joining. A couple more, I think load shedding must have just kicked in. Right, so for those of you who just joined, you haven't missed anything. We're just starting off with the workshop agenda. So today we have an hour to spend a bit of time with the task team from the Digital Content Marketing Committee, looking at the definition for today. We're going to kick off with an agenda from myself. I'm Paula Hulley, the IAB CEO in South Africa. So just to share a little bit about why we're all here today and why this is so important. Emma will then introduce the task team. She'll provide context on why digital content marketing is so important, what the opportunity is right now, and the committee's ambition with regards to the subject and the channel, if one can call it that. Probably wrong. The process to set up a common set of definitions for the segment. Then we'll get into a working definition recap. We'll review general feedback received so far, and then move straight into the Q&A. We foresee the initial part of the workshop taking about 15 to 20 minutes, so not too long till the Q&A, where we can sort of get into a discussion and a debate and to capture that feedback. And Emma will share the next steps sort of at the end of the session. A note for those of you who've just joined, we are recording. That is so that we can share it with anyone who couldn't make it, as well as for the committee to make sure they've got documented notes. All right, so just a little bit from me on the IAB. So for those of you who don't know, the Interactive Advertising Bureau is here to empower the media and marketing industry to thrive in the digital economy. And we do this in South Africa through smart, motivational, and actionable insights to help you make better digital decisions in your media and marketing planning, and therefore better business decisions. We're in 47 countries around the world, and in each of our countries, we look after the respective digital media and marketing regulation, as well as white papers and other interesting resources and research that can help you to make those better digital decisions. We don't do this alone. This is absolutely a body that is built for the industry, by the industry. So while myself as CEO and Debbie sit sort of at head office, we have 100 volunteers working across our executive board, our councils and committees like the Digital Marketing, Content Marketing Committee who are with us today. These volunteers start to understand what are the relevant challenges that are happening in our industry, what do we need to understand in order to capture this ever-growing digital media and marketing opportunity, and then set together to really define the challenge and then put that solution together. Those councils and committees are made up by yourselves and by the industry. You are nominated by the industry, voted in by the industry, and the entire process throughout, which while it sometimes takes us a bit longer, is also managed by the advisory boards and our executive boards who are nominated and elected by the industry. So it really is thought leadership underpinned by the industry and then validated by the IAB and our processes as a collective body. Our membership comprises of over 150 different companies. Great to see so many of you online today and some of you still arriving, so welcome. And they are made up of what we call the Big Tent, which are publishers, agencies of all different kinds, advertisers and brands, platforms, technology specialists in terms of MarTech and other platforms, measurement platforms, as well as education. And we believe that it's this big tent that can bring, you can better define the problems and the challenges that we're in and look at those opportunities to the solutions. So I think for those of you who saw the content marketing committee announced last year, and Emma will recap, that it absolutely represents that diverse nature of the industry and all the stakeholders in terms of these solutions. So enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Emma Odendahl from John Brown Media, who heads up this particular task on the Digital Content Marketing Committee under the leadership of Sarah Browning de Villiers from Publicis Machine. So welcome, Emma. Thank you so much for all your work to get us to this point. Lots of work on the back end and now to get to this point. We're very excited. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paula, and hello, everyone. It's really good to be here. As Paula says, we've come a long journey, and thank you to Sarah and Natalie who are on the call with me today. Sarah is the Chief Content Officer at Publicis Machine. She's also, as Paula said, she heads up our Digital Content Marketing Committee. And then myself and Natalie have joined Sarah on the task team of defining what digital content marketing is. And we've been supported, as also again, as Paula said, by a fabulous committee that was nominated by the industry. And I think that we've been very lucky to have numerous agencies, above the line content marketing, publishers and brands represented in the committee, who've been consulted along as we've developed this framework and definition for content marketing. So just to quickly put it into context, and you will have already seen some of this information in the document that the IAB distributed. Content marketing, we know, is a growing specialism. Globally accounts for 20% of marketing spend, which is quite extraordinary. And audience-centric content, we know, is becoming increasingly important to brands. Every day, thousands of pieces of content are published, planned, commissioned. And so when we, as an industry, sort of spoke last year, we certainly saw the opportunity to establish a content marketing committee that could recommend guidelines that are relevant to the industry going forward. Most brands, agencies, and publishers, as I mentioned, produce some form of content. But content marketing, we believe, is a niche discipline, a niche specialism that really should be recognized as such as part of a holistic marketing strategy. So what will follow in the next few slides is really what we believe content marketing is and isn't, and how it exists within that greater marketing landscape in relation to all the various other specialisms. And we'd like to think that this definition is what we can use to begin a benchmarking process to build thought leadership on the subject in South Africa, and really also to celebrate some of the outstanding work and excellence in the industry. So as a committee, we set ourselves the mandate to define digital content marketing as this niche marketing discipline and to use this as a basis for our activities going forward. And what's really exciting in the months and weeks that follow is that the committee is working on a fantastic insight series, podcasts, a white paper, all of which will really showcase digital content marketing expertise and excellence locally. So we're really excited about that. So we really do aim to grow the industry knowledge around the category, highlight content marketing as a unique skill set, promote it as an effective tool for brands to communicate with their audiences and really deliver ROI, to showcase channels that content marketing is served across and inspire creativity and excellence, to develop a community of experts in the field we can share knowledge and best practice and show how content marketing can really have a very direct impact on brands with clear, measurable ROI. Along the process, as Paula mentioned earlier, we have consulted a number of stakeholders and collaborated with a number of people in the industry, both locally and globally. We began much of the journey by looking globally at what work has been done already in defining content marketing. We spoke to some of the IAB global offices to look for global definitions of content marketing, which didn't exist, but certainly we did position our content marketing definition based on existing definitions for branded content and native content, which the IAB has in place. We liaised with Rob John, who many of you will know is the CEO of the Content Marketing Association in the UK, regarding their own best practice to make sure that we're aligned. We also worked with some of the existing documentation from the Content Marketing Institute in the US to ensure alignment with that side of the world. And once we built the definition, it went to the IAB Manco and board here locally. We were also really very privileged to have an incredible advisory panel that consulted throughout the journey, and I was able to pick their brains as we defined the definition and built some of our principles. We were really lucky to have Mpumi from Joe Public, Juanita, who I think is on the call today from Meta Media, Sean at Wavemaker, Matthew Smith of Capitec, Jessica from One Day Only, and Francois from Sunland. So really reflecting a great cross-section, I think, of agency and brand, and trying to make sure that we represent the industry at large, and that brings us really to where we are today, is to have a look at the definition that was distributed by the IAB social and email channels and give you the opportunity to comment and to have a really robust debate on the principles. So really, in short, I think the one thing we all agreed when we went out on this journey is that no one's going to read pages and pages of documentation. So we really wanted to encapsulate what content marketing is in a sentence, or in this case, 2 sentences. And we defined it as a strategic marketing approach of creating and distributing relevant, consistent content targeted to defined audiences to add value to their lives at specific points in the user journey without using brand or product as the hero. Content marketing delights, educates, informs, and entertains in order to build and engage owned, loyal audiences, thereby increasing their commercial value to the brand. So there are a number of really important words in that definition. Value was something that was really key in how we built the definition. And you'll see that one of the first principles of content marketing that we unpacked as we built this framework was that content marketing takes an audience-first approach. It requires an understanding of who the audience is and addresses an audience pain point, challenge, interest, or need. And because everyone loves a good Venn diagram, it really is the intersection of what your audience cares about and the brand area of expertise. And we get this beautiful sweet spot, which is where content marketing is developed. And content marketing lies in the sweet spot where brand expertise overlaps with what the audience cares about. So instead of trying to push messaging onto audiences, content marketing responds to their needs in a way that is relevant to the brand. Content marketing aims to grow a long-term relationship with an audience and build a community that is owned by the brand, that can be monetized and retained to grow the lifetime value of the community, as well as to harness deepened insights. Content marketing builds an owned audience by attracting them to an experience or destination that your brand owns and optimizes to achieve its marketing objectives, although the content may be amplified on numerous paid and earned media channels, of course. Successful content marketing, we believe, is ongoing, iterative, and consistent. Typically, it's a level, constant strategy that underpins and amplifies campaigns and is distinguished from campaigns by its longevity and its relevance. It builds relationship and loyalty, driving business outcomes and return on investment with very clear metrics and measures of success. And it's channel and medium agnostic. Its appropriate channels and forms are defined by the audience being targeted, not by the discipline itself. Content marketing, very importantly, does not interrupt the audience. And if we look at this diagram, infographic, graph, if you will, we adapted this from the Content Spectrum by the Content Marketing Institute in the US, which I think in a lovely snapshot shows where content marketing sits as a relevant, consistent, targeted content to a defined audience versus native content carried on third-party platforms and branded content as sponsored content, with content as the product compared to above the line campaigns, below the line, through the line messaging, where brand is defined as the product. And you'll also see that owned audiences, that your y-axis is really where content marketing sits, with your native and your brand content moving into the rented audience spaces. So that really is was the last note from the framework and definition that was distributed. As I mentioned, we did invite the industry for comment. They were able to submit a Word document back to us with feedback. And I wanted to share the one piece of feedback that was received, perhaps to open up discussions and comments, and then really hand over to you for discussion. So Louis Extian, on behalf of the Publishers Research Council, commented that owned audiences, and we use the word owned quite a bit in the definition, might imply that creators of brand content somehow have a possession of a specific target audience. And I think I'd love to hear everyone else's views on considering using a term such as brand audience or supported audience instead of owned audience. As a content marketer, I believe quite strongly in brands having owned audiences, or maybe to use other words, maybe it's a semantic issue, first-party data audiences. And I'd love to hear whether anyone has any comments or suggestions as we really hand over to you for questions and discussion.
Thanks so much, Emma. That was a really great view of the journey and all the work done to date. And in terms of context for this space, I think it's so important to understand that, as well as your research and partnerships with other parties and bureaus around the world, because we don't want to start from scratch, and we absolutely want to obviously make sure that we're aligning globally, but at the same time, what is the pertinent definition for us here in South Africa. So I have noted in the chat, if you'd like to share a question in the chat, or you're more than welcome to raise your hand, or just turn your camera on and maybe ask a question. We're very keen to hear from you. Now's the time. Emma, perhaps you'd like to just go back to the definition itself, because ultimately what we are doing today is providing, the industry with these various opportunities to inform, on the definition, and really to move forward onto the next step of the committee's project. So yeah, here's the definition. And Emma, am I right in saying that we've got that piece of feedback from Louis from the PRC, and other than that, the committee would go away and really just establish this, that would then be defined as an IAB SA guideline.
Yeah, that's correct, yes.
Looks like we've got agreement. Have I put anyone on mute by mistake? And you can't say what you need to say. It's really good news. I think it just means that your hard work has paid off here. Yeah, Juanita, Megan, now I'm just calling out your names because I know you want to double check. You're good with where we are.
Yeah, all good. Thanks.
Great.
Paula.
Thank
Happy.
you.
And thank you for your help on this, Juanita. Yeah, I really, some of the other advisors were immensely helpful, and to tap into your knowledge was amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, but thanks for all the hard work you guys did. Really awesome.
Yeah, it looks like I think we were all preparing for spicy debate. But I think it's testament to the work from the committee. So if I don't know, Sarah or Natalie, Emma, if there's anything else you'd like to add, otherwise we can address next steps and get back into the work.
No, happy. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time and contribution. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, all good from my side too. Thank you so much. Yeah, I guess no one is disagreeing with our use of the word owned, and I think we have put a lot of thought into that, and also just wanted to be, sort of on industry standards where that is a very commonly used and definition in content marketing, and so to kind of add other words like brand or supported audiences might cause a little bit of confusion or fuzziness in this area. So that's kind of why I personally feel I'm happy with that term. It seems like everybody else is, so let me not wake the beast if there are no more issues. But yeah, thank you so much, Emma, and for driving this.
Great.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. So Paula, jump in if I'm wrong, but I believe that next steps from here on out would really just be to consolidate if anyone has any feedback this afternoon, perhaps once you've spent some time thinking about it, consolidate any additional feedback, and then we will distribute a final document. We're aiming for mid-June. And then we roll into Insight series, podcasts, all sorts of workshops, white papers. So that's really exciting for the industry.
Fantastic. Yes, absolutely. The industry has had its chance to respond to the written document, and thank you to all who shared their feedback. Thank you to the committee and the advisory board for consulting on that feedback and making any adjustments where relevant. And then for opening up the conversation again to the industry, to making sure that there's no stone left unturned. And absolutely at this point, it looks like we have our definition, and we'll be publishing that on the site. The Insight series is on the 30th of September. And before then, the podcasts and continuation of the committee's work will continue. So yeah, thanks to everyone. And with half an hour left in your diaries, we give that back to you and hope you have an incredible rest of the day. Keep safe and keep well. Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, it's Elena. Yeah, I just had a question. I posted it in the chat, but should we not be including the channels in which content marketing lives as part of a definition, or is it something that comes through later on as we build on content marketing?
Yeah, Sunena, we do mention it being channel agnostic. Let me quickly go to the point. Content marketing is channel and medium agnostic. So we haven't drilled down into specific channels in this instance. I think from my perspective, and I'd love to know everyone else's feedback. Content marketing doesn't just exist on certain channels. It really is the full gambit. As long as it's where the audience is and where the audience wants to engage.
Emma, to build on Sunaina's question, would the channel start to become quite or more relevant once we get into the benchmarking side of it? So if you had content 100%. On LinkedIn versus wherever, email, whatever it might be, then you would start to look at channel specific.
Absolutely. So I know that the task team that are busy with the white paper are looking at some case studies that are quite channel agnostic and others that are quite channel specific. So I think that and benchmarking is certainly something that we wanting to tackle for each channel as well. So I think watch this space. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks, it does. I'm also happy with it being channel agnostic. I think I missed that as we were going through this, but yeah, happy with that.
Perfect, thank you.
Good question. I see Megan also agrees in terms of it being agnostic. And also in terms of, I suppose, fluctuating change. So I think that would be something that we, continuously add to in terms of measurement at a later stage. I see that Jamie also just noted, it'd be interesting to see some of the work coming out of the bookmarks. We've got 2 new channels, 2 new categories in bookmarks for content marketing, with round 1 judging starting yesterday. So I think that will be very interesting. Good point, Jamie. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Fantastic. I think that's that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone.
We could have some music. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
And look forward to others. Ciao. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.